Imagine a world where every living human are gone, and only a handful people survived, and you end up meeting a cheerful person who is full of life even in the darkest time. The manga starts with us seeing the cheerful face of a girl, and she exclaims, seeming to be waking someone up. As she tells Nek to wake up, a timid boy wakes from his sleep. While striking a confident pose, she asks if he had any sleep or not. He grunts and complains about how he hates everything. We see that both the girl and boy are in the midst of an all-out zombie apocalypse, and they are the only uninfected ones in that area. As dozens upon dozens of zombies growl for fresh blood, the girl tells him to take it easy, and reminds him that she is there for him. The cheerful girl, Yoko, and Nek had just woken up from their sleep, and it seemed like they had a major problem ahead of them. Their food supply had run out. While making a jolly expression and pose, she tells him to get ready as they would need to make a trip to the supermarket. They mostly relied on canned food, and getting them was quite a hassle. Nek replies that he has some spare food that they could use right now. Yoko and Nek have been searching for any remaining humans, but so far, they have been having a tough time doing that. She even wishes that the food in the supermarket would be gone, which would just give them some hope that there are others alive other than them. Nek, being an introvert, enjoyed being alone but quietly agrees with her words. In the next second, a lovely neighbor zombie jump scares the living crap out of him, and his poor heart gets the biggest scare. As the zombie left and Nek just went into silent mode and quietly sat down, Yoko gives him an industry-level thumbs up and tells him that this route they are taking is the safest and there is no way they would encounter any zombies. As her words didn't make a single dent in him, he cries out, "I am scared." A month ago, disaster struck mankind, and the entire globe was infected by a zombie virus that broke out from a lab. The day this all began, Nek was enjoying his day-to-day life and suddenly heard growling sounds coming from his parents' room. When he opened it, he saw his mother, twisting and turning aggressively, and up closer, her entire face was covered with veins and his mother was unrecognizable. Nek tells us that this is the reality that they live in now, and everyone they knew turned into zombies, blind to everything but blood and flesh. He ran away from home and soon he was on a days-long run. It was so scary for him that every day he would beg to just make it to tomorrow. There he met a girl who offered him help, and as his entire world changed, Yoko came into his life and turned it upside down. He remembers that the first thing she said to him was take it easy. Since then, he has been surviving at the fullest. As we get to the present, Yoko with a sad voice tells him that the same amount of food is on the aisles. Yoko would purposely put food on the aisle so anyone would grab it, and this way she could also learn about the existence of other people. As she saddens and tells him to take the rest while keeping some for the other, she smiles and tells him that this is the best thing they could do in the toughest of times for others. As he had no interest in finding others and just passed a fake agreement phrase, while going back, Nek starts to pray that they don't meet any zombies on their way back. Just as he was praying, his foot ends up stepping on something that alerted Yoko. From the sound of the crack, 2 zombies approached him and surrounded him. As she exclaims, she brings out a metal pipe and in the next instant slams it against the face of the zombies, and Nek is left speechless once more. All this time she has been the cornerstone of their journey, and as she obviously beats the crap out of the zombies, there is no doubt that she is cheerful and strong as well. With a bloodied face, she looks at him and tells him to relax and was glad to see that he was safe and okay. As he was too happy to have her by his side, he thanked her and blushed slight since he was glad that in her eyes he was not a burden whatsoever and he came to a point where he was unable to survive without her. Despite their good relationship, Nek once asked her why she even bothered to take him with her in the first place, feeling he was already a pretty bad partner in survival. The reply Yoko gave him was something he never could have guessed. With a still face, she said the magic words and told him that she liked him a lot, and that was the reason she took him with her. As he heard these words, he blushed like crazy and couldn't get these words out of his mind for several days. he asked her why she came to like him when they had only just met a few days ago. She exclaimed and shared that Nek believed in her words and gave her some hope that wouldn't make sense to him. As she was talking about something that was a little too different from what she would normally talk about, he had no idea from what angle she was speaking. Without adding any more details, she glanced at him with a beautiful smile and told him that he believed her, and that is why she liked him. As she blushed herself while saying these words, she showed no signs of hiding anything. Rather, she was more than happy to express her feelings. This moment sparked something inside him, and just being together with her since that moment, he realized that he fell for her hard. Both of them were eating canned food, and Nek, while being a little nerdy, was sure that what happened to him was a suspension bridge effect. They continued their day, and soon enough time passed that they had to store food one more time and needed to visit the supermarket again. Since days were quickly passing by, and he himself realized that their food wouldn't last anymore, as they made their way to the same aisle, he pondered how they could search for better food locations. Suddenly, Yoko exclaimed after seeing something. In a panic, he approached her and asked if she was okay. She told him that the food they left was all gone. She glanced back, and with a big, bright smile, she told him that the food being taken from the aisle, and this must mean that someone else took it from there. As Nek completely froze, worried that their food supply was cut down, she exclaimed that they could be meeting other people, and they would surely be living and breathing just like them. As he flinched, she immediately went into a happy mood and started to run outside to look for them. He yelled and told her that outside was still dangerous, and she needed to relax a little. As he warned her, she interrupted him and spun around with a bright smile and told him to take it easy. As he knew that no words would work on her anymore, they ventured outside, from street to street, making their way inside the neighborhood. They swiftly avoided the zombies and kept checking for possible hideouts the survivors must have taken. On the other hand, Nek was gulping and made a troubled expression. Finally, he broke the ice and asked why she was just full of positivity and cheerfulness. As she heard this, she stopped, and with a serious voice she told him that she wasn't this positive when the outbreak happened. In the first wave of the virus, her entire family got infected, and not a single one of them made it out alive. For all that period, she was all alone and roamed around the city. She told him that she wasn't worried about attacks, zombies, food, or anything else. Rather, the loneliness kept eating her up from the inside and devouring her. It got to the point where she was begging for someone to be alive. Deep down, she wanted someone else to take it easy, like she was. She would keep telling herself this again and again. That is how she ended up meeting Nek on a street, and at that moment, her life changed for the better. She learned that she wasn't alone in this harsh world and started to yell "take it easy," like a magic phrase to heal everything. She told him that seeing a survivor is a blessing, and with a gentle voice she told him that if the survivor they are looking for is alone as well, she needs to cheer him up and tell him to take it easy. As he heard this, he clenched his fist, and deep down, we learn that he was somewhat afraid that she would either leave him or end up falling in love with that person. The thought of these things was troubling him, and he hated the idea of being alone in this world. He couldn't take his eyes off her, and thought that her dazzling rays should only shine on him. Even though he had a somewhat weak mentality, he followed her all the way, and as she started singing a cute original song, "Take It Easy," she had a blast. They continued their search, even searching the abandoned school. They made sure to not miss a single thing. Finally, they decided to take a break, and both of them sat down at a table. She told him that their backpack had gotten lighter, which made their walk easier, but their stomachs were empty. Suddenly, he interrupted her and told her in a serious and dead tone that he knows for a fact that there are no survivors here. They walked for days and days but were unable to find a single trace of a human. It came to a point where they were struggling themselves but were constantly on the lookout for survivors. He told her that there were no more survivors, and even if there were some scattered in these cities, he reminded her that they would die while searching for them. He requested her to just return and go home. She made a painful smile and told him that they should just take it easy. Somehow she knew that they were stretching themselves thin, and they were unable to find anyone, but she really wanted to join with other survivors in hopes to survive together. She told him that they would surely find them soon, and Neck finally broke down. He screamed at her and told her that she was being irresponsible. He told her that telling herself take it easy over and over didn't make things easier and broke down how everything they were doing was just useless. As poor Yoko heard these words, her whole world came crumbling down. The look on her face was too grim, and it seemed like the thin thread that she held on broke and the only person she relied on was about to leave her. He noticed that maybe he was just a little too harsh on her and started to explain that in this world he didn't mind being together with her forever, and told her that he was happy, and she was the only thing that he needed. Even though he said the thing she needed, the world was not so kind to them anymore. From behind, 2 zombies snuck up on her, and she was too stunned to realize this. As he screamed out her name, she grabs the metal pipe and destroyed the head of one zombie. However, one of the zombies closed its distance too much and jumped on top of her. Since the physical strength of the zombies exceeded human capabilities, she falls, and on the ground she really didn't have a lot of options. As Neck saw this, he yelled and grabbed a heavy rock nearby and dashed towards them, and in the next instant, he started smacking the head of the zombie with all the power he had. As Yoko got back, Neck started to beat its head into a pulp. After killing it, he panted for air and immediately, without any more delay, apologized to her for the bad words he had said to her earlier, and there he told her that he only wanted to protect her. However, our wholesome story took a sad turn, and in the end, Yoko sat there and had a bite mark on her arm. Poor Yoko realized that she was just minutes away from turning into a monster. She sat there completely stunned and started to sweat. As Neck noticed this as well, her arm was bitten by the zombie, and its teeth perfectly pierced through her skin, and she got infected. With a cracking voice, she started to tremble and told him that even though this happened, it was still okay, and while forgetting herself in her last moments, she looked at him and smiled, telling him to take it easy, and kept repeating these words over and over again. Finally, the once happy girl finally started to cry for her life and begged him not to take this too hard on himself. As he trembled, he hugged her, and she started to weep, telling him that for her, take it easy is a magic phrase that helps her move forward, and as she cries out to him, as she clenches his clothes, she asks what these words mean to him. As he embraced her, he stopped for a second and pulled her apart, and with a confident voice, Neck told her not to worry about anything and he would take care of everything and he would make sure to do something. As he cried, while sending her off for some time, he told her to take it easy. As they both looked at each other one more time, both cried for all the memories they had with each other, and he kept telling her that he would fix her, but finally she drew her last breath and falls down. Her last words to him were thank you, and she closed her eyes. A long time passed, and a person came across the supermarket that Neck and Yoko would go to. There they reflected how some people survived here and paid their respects to the people who couldn't make it. Many years passed since Yoko turned into a zombie and Neck disappeared, and after all this time, there was no cure for the virus. Even though many tried, all of them failed, and as the people roaming in that area reflected how this is hell and there is no solution for hell, our scene swoops to a wall covered with detailed papers and research. It seemed like somewhere far, someone was trying to create an antidote for the zombies, and there a man sat and told himself to take it easy. All grown up, Neck, with a large scar on his face, gets up with a determined look and tells himself that it is time. He records himself, and tells how this is his 307th try. Neck glances over to a bed. There, Yoko was laying down, and she was in a deep coma for more than 10 years. As he tells her how the sting would tinge a bit, he injects the 300th shot, and immediately he goes into a panic mode and starts to circle around, comforting himself that this all would surely go great. As he starts to pray and even question himself, He grabs her hand and begs for her to wake up and cries that she is just amazing to survive this long. A light voice calling out his name catches his attention, and as he looks up, Yoko sat up, and the anti-zombie vaccine worked. Without any pause, she brought out a bright smile and starts to tell how he is all grown up and looks more manly, and reminds herself that she turned into a zombie, and Neck immediately hugs her. And finally, he kept his promise to her, and all his work finally bore fruits, and he was able to bring back the person he loved back to life. She praises him for everything he did, and she starts to examine his face and asks how he got a scar this long, and he tells her that it was scary and he fought hard. As she embraces him, she tells him that she would take care of everything now and tells him to take it easy.